Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we are taking you way off the beaten track. We're not in the halls of power, not in some high-tech lab. We are going straight to the heart of, well, a small-town drama in a place literally called Hell, Georgia.
And that's not an exaggeration about the name at all.
No.
Hell, Georgia. Population, what, just under 8,000? And it's famous for basically two things.
Okay.
The heat, which all our sources describe as just relentless, record-breaking, and this local barbecue sauce that is apparently so spicy, it makes grown men weep.
Wow. Okay, so the name is earned.
It is, but it wasn't always called that. It was originally Hale, after Colonel Jameson Hale.
Right.
But the city leaders in this surprising flash of marketing brilliance, they just changed it.
We leaned into it.
Completely leaned into it, decided to capitalize on that eternal, scorching heat. It's a town that just kind of owns its terrible reputation.
And we have a really dense stack of sources for you today. It details this truly spectacular local meltdown.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. We are tracking the collision between a dedicated local police officer, a notorious returning heartbreaker, a secret ex-girlfriend's revenge website,
And a bizarre, escalating stalker threat that involves, and I promise you, we are not making this up, raw meat.
raw meat. So our mission, as always, is to navigate this treacherous terrain of gossip and family secrets and, I guess, poetic justice, and distill the core knowledge nuggets for you, about human nature, community dynamics, and the deep, deep cost of having a certain reputation.
And the whole thing, the entire investigation, it's sparked by this one really unsettling moment for our police officer, Eden Rutherford.
Okay, set the scene for us.
She's just staring at her computer screen at a recent post on a local message board. It's basically a digital declaration of war, and it's signed by someone calling themselves Artemis 525.
And this post is where all the, small-town quirkiness ends and the actual menace begins. Artemis 525 writes, "I'm thinking someone needs to break Bennett's heart." Literally. Like, maybe snatch it from his chest, then run over it with a lawnmower.
It's so graphic. And what's really significant here, as the sources detail, is that this message board, it was usually just for, venting and complaints.
Right, like normal town gossip.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was rarely, if ever, focused on actual physical harm. So it's that chilling shift, moving from cathartic digital humor to this visceral, over-the-top violence, that crosses a critical line.
And Eden, our cop, she immediately recognizes this, even though she has this deep, painful history with the guy being targeted.
Yeah, she knows this requires a serious law enforcement response, personal feelings aside.
And the target, of course, is Bennett Wilder. He's the handsome, elusive, third-generation bad boy whose swift and very unwelcome return has just thrown the entire social ecosystem of Hell into complete chaos.
And then there's Eden. She's the local cop. She's fighting for justice, for responsibility, but she's struggling with this lifelong, almost gravitational attraction to Bennett.
A magnetic pull that she knows rationally she should have severed, a decade ago?
At least.
Okay, let's unpack this. We need to establish the central conflict here. To understand why Bennett became the target of a murder-by-lawnmower fantasy, we have to start with the burden of his past.
It's all about the expectations the community placed on him from birth.
A self-fulfilling prophecy.
A classic case, yeah, fueled by toxic small-town gossip. Bennett was born carrying the weight of his parents' notoriety.
Okay, who were they?
His mother was Kathy Petrie. She was a teenage drifter, and the town basically labeled her a whore. His father was Kirk Wilder, the town's resident bad seed, a known alcoholic.
So Bennett grew up just surrounded by whispers and judgment.
Constantly. And what's fascinating is how he reacted to that. He worked maniacally to counteract that image.
He tried to be the good kid.
The perfect kid. A-plus student, polite, eager to please, a budding athlete. He made this visible, almost desperate effort to toe the line and prove everyone's assumptions wrong.
But our sources suggest that this whole facade was it was exhausting.
Of course, because it required him to be perfect, which is an impossible standard for any teenager, let alone one with his background.
Right.
And the sources are really clear that Bennett was constantly just battling this internal knowledge that he was waiting for the day he'd inevitably fail.
And that failure came senior year of high school.
It did. We learned why he failed later on, but the immediate result was just devastating for everyone. He dumped Eden right before prom. No explanation. His grades plummeted, and he did a complete aggressive 180.
He leaned hard into the stereotype.
He became the ringleader of the wrong crowd, a serious skirt-chasing fiend. And this is the really painful irony. The
Yeah.
community, seeing this transformation, they didn't feel any shame for, maybe driving him there. They just saw it as confirmation.
Oh, there's that Wilder boy.
Exactly. We knew it all along.
And here's the deeper psychological nugget that I found really interesting. His initial effort to be good was genuine, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But his shift into the bad boy persona, the smoking, the drinking, the cursing, long hair, piercing his ear, that required even more performance effort than trying to be the golden boy.
You're right. He was actively performing the role the town had written for him.
Yeah.
So he tried to resist the narrative, failed, and then just decided, okay, if that's who they think I am, I'm going to be the best damn version of it.
It's a tragedy, really, born of this intense reputational anxiety.
Absolutely.
So let's look at how the community, specifically the women, managed their anger and disappointment toward the men who hurt them.
And that took a very digital, very 21st century form.
The website.
The website. Initially, it was called BennettWilderSucks.com.
Chuckles. Subtle.
Very. It was Eden's bitter brainchild. She created it after Bennett just obliterated her heart the second time he walked away without so much as a note.
And its initial purpose was pure vengeance.
Purely a repository of vengeance against Bennett and, quote, other men who employed his hit-and-run style of romance.
That initial rage is, perfectly understandable. But this is where we find a really fascinating insight into the dynamics of collective digital grief.
Right. Because that cathartic, vengeful humor, it served its purpose, but it didn't sustain itself.
It couldn't.
The sources indicate that within months, the whole site just pivoted. It became less about Bennett and way more about mutual support.
It turned into a community space.
A safe community space for women to connect, to lament daily woes, problems at work, meddling mothers, PMS, and, the occasional Mr. Wrong.
Which tells us something crucial about how collective rage works.
Mm.
Once that initial heat of vengeance burns off, human psychology often seeks mutual aid and connection over, continued spite. They stopped needing to attack Bennett and started needing to support each other.
Which is exactly why the sudden appearance of Artemis 525 demanding literal heart removal was so alarming to Eden.
It was an extreme regression, a throwback to that rawest, most dangerous initial anger.
It signaled that someone hadn't progressed past that initial rage. And speaking of things Eden couldn't progress past,
Oh.
we have to discuss the source of her original pain. Her irresistible, magnetic attraction to Bennett, the man she privately called the magician.
This is the head versus heart conflict in its purest form, isn't it?
It really is. Eden admits her relationship with Bennett, her Ben, was never governed by rationale. She saw the risks, she knew the history, but every decision was ruled by her heart and her body.
Completely excluding her brain and anything close to common sense. That's a direct quote.
And she holds herself accountable for it. She feels this intense shame because she knows she's better than this emotional impulsivity, but she just cannot escape his pull.
And she attributes it to his, unique skill set.
It's not just that he was good looking. He had this rare, almost supernatural ability.
The sources highlight this emotional superpower. He could make a girl feel like the only woman on the planet.
And the only one for him in the entire galaxy. When he was focused on you, the rest of the world genuinely just dissolved.
That kind of singular attention is so powerful. It's the ultimate antidote to small-town anonymity and judgment.
He was literally her kryptonite. And the magician nickname, it wasn't just about his vanishing acts from her life.
No.
It was because he had a particular talent for making her brain and her undergarments disappear.
Okay, that phrase perfectly encapsulates it. The extreme vulnerability and the lack of control she felt around him.
Which, for a cock, is fundamentally terrifying. She's someone who needs control and logic, and he just obliterates both.
So the magician vanishes for a decade. He makes a successful life for himself as a sought-after artisan, building high-end furniture for Hollywood A-listers in Savannah.
Living the good life.
And then suddenly, boom, he's back in hell. And it was definitely not voluntary.
No, the sources suggest he viewed his return as something that would only happen if a hot poker was applied to his ass.
And that hot poker was his grandfather, Grady Wilder.
That's right. Grady had been ejected from the Golden Gate retirement home for being simply too disruptive.
And disruptive barely scrapes the surface here. Grady sounds like an absolute menace, but a lovable one.
In that retirement home environment, absolutely. He was organizing protests against the menu.
Okay, minor.
Right. But more significantly, he was fleecing everyone at the card tables, gambling for cash or change, which was strictly forbidden.
Still, sounds like standard retirement home
Uh,
shenanigans.
But the truly spectacular event that got him permanently expelled, his philandering was so intense it was causing women in the home to get into literal catfights during movie hour.
Wait, what? Cat fights? Over a geriatric Lothario during movie hour, that detail is pure gold.
It confirms that the Wilder chaotic energy is a family legacy. And since Golden Gate was the only facility nearby, Bennett had no choice.
He had to bring Grady home.
Had to bring him home, move back himself.
Yeah.
A massive sacrifice to repay the debt he felt he owed Grady, who raised him after his parents died in a house fire.
So Bennett's plan, naturally, was to just slip back into town, keep a low profile, and be unremarkable.
Considering his family history, his fame as an artisan, and the fact that an entire website was once dedicated to hating him.
Yeah, that plan was doomed from the start.
Completely.
That low-profile plan lasted, what, maybe 5 minutes? Because it instantly fails with the most unavoidable collision possible.
Eden pulls him over for speeding.
Of course she does.
And this traffic stop is so crucial. It's just dripping with suppressed emotion and decade-old tension. Bennett is broadsided by seeing her in uniform.
And Eden.
Her pulse flutters, but she manages to maintain this veneer of professionalism. She only drops the guard for a second to ask if Grady is okay.
It's the ultimate emotional reset button for both of them. Bennett is instantly reminded of what he left behind.
The one woman who had genuinely seen the good in him, but who he had deliberately hurt. He notes that she was the only one who made him feel something much more substantial and altogether more frightening than what he saw from other women.
And almost immediately after this fraught traffic stop, the digital threat becomes a tangible warning.
Right. Kate, Eden's friend and a nurse at Golden Gate. She intercepts Bennett and confirms the posts by Artemis 525 are a bit disturbing.
And focused on physical injury.
Serious physical injury.
Yeah.
Bennett just absorbs the news grimly, acknowledging that this chaos, a hate club, a hate website, and now some crazy woman threatening him.
Yeah.
This is exactly the hell he remembered.
And then the online threats become sickeningly physical.
Yeah.
Devi Darliston, Eden's wonderful, eccentric aunt and surrogate mother, she's the one who finds the first tangible threat waiting on Bennett's back step.
And it is theatrical in the worst way. A small plastic box is found, and inside is a standard tub of chicken livers.
Chicken liver.
Chicken livers. And the sources make a point of noting it still has a hefty heifer sticker on it, meaning it was bought at the local grocery store.
Wow.
Attached to it is a handwritten card. Welcome home, Bennett. Here's what your heart is going to look like when I get finished with it. I'm hunting, and the time is drawing near.
That detail about the local grocery sticker is so specific and so chilling.
It is.
It immediately elevates this whole thing from anonymous digital hate to a localized personal threat. As Debbie says, the psycho is no longer harmless. She has arrived at your back door.
And that detail, the hefty heifer sticker, it just confirms Eden's immediate conclusion. This is a hellion.
Yeah.
The sheer gall of it, targeting Bennett when he's trying so desperately to redeem his reputation.
He's paying the price for the sins of his past, even though he's a fundamentally different man now.
Which immediately triggers the analysis of the stalker's name and timing.
Right. Artemis 525.
Eden and Devi identify Artemis as the Greek goddess of the hunt. So Bennett is the hunted.
Okay, that part's easy. What about the number?
They focus on 525. And Devi, with this kind of chilling accuracy only a slightly eccentric aunt can have, speculates it's a date, May 25th.
Which is only 4 days away.
Exactly. It marks the ultimate coup de grace. It sets the clock ticking on the whole investigation.
And this countdown, it pushes Bennett into panic mode. But crucially, it's not primarily about his physical safety.
No, it's all about his reputation. This is a huge insight into his character.
He calls Eden to report the evidence, which he finds humiliating.
Totally humiliating. And he insists that she keep the entire investigation off the record.
Why?
He tells her he is terrified that public knowledge of a psycho-stalker tied directly to his past whoring ways will utterly destroy his chance for a new start. It'll turn his life into a circus.
And this is where we have to stop and really analyze the moral complexity of Eden's decision.
It's a huge decision.
A police officer is agreeing to run an investigation handling evidence, pursuing suspects with no official paper trail, all to protect the reputation of the man who broke her heart.
A man who, if this goes public, is universally expected to be guilty of attracting this kind of craziness.
It's a huge ethical line to cross. She's putting her career at risk.
But the sources suggest Eden sees something deeper than the old playboy. She sees his raw vulnerability, his desperate desire for acceptance in the town that has always scorned him.
She realizes she's the only one who can help him get this new beginning.
And she decides, against her better judgment and her professional mandate, that she has to protect him.
It's a choice driven by empathy and maybe the lingering memory of the man she loved.
But it's an absolute high-stakes gamble on his character.
Yeah.
She's betting everything that he really has changed.
And this off-the-record investigation, it forces them into close, constant proximity. And it forces Bennett to confront the very choices he made a decade ago. When Eden presses him for potential suspects for Artemis 525, he finally reveals the secret.
The real reason he ended their high school relationship.
And here's where we finally meet the central antagonist of Bennett's life.
And arguably the person who fueled the entire Wilder boy prophecy.
Eden's mother, Giselle Rutherford.
Giselle is established in the sources as just cold, calculating, and ruthlessly spiteful, especially about social standing. The epitome of hell's judgmental elite.
And she cornered an 18-year-old Bennett.
A vulnerable kid already struggling with his identity, and she issued this unambiguous, terrifying threat.
She told him, crystal clear, I will not permit you to drag my only daughter down with you.
And then the real kicker.
Every time she sees you, I'm going to punish her, and it will be your fault.
Just analyze the depth of that emotional manipulation. She didn't threaten Bennett directly.
No, she threatened Eden through him.
She weaponized his love and his sense of responsibility for Eden's happiness. And Bennett, powerless, young, and utterly ashamed of his origins, he believed her.
He knew what hell thought of him. He believed Giselle had the power and the cruelty to follow through.
So he immediately broke up with Eden and launched into that aggressive bad boy persona.
And the painful, decade-long implication is that his dramatic shift, the very thing that earned him the town's scorn, that broke Eden's heart, that drove him away, it was all, ironically, a misguided attempt to protect Eden.
And a fulfillment of Giselle's condescending prophecy. He became the nothing she said he would be, so that she couldn't hurt Eden further.
That provides so much context for his decade of self-sabotage.
And why he struggled so hard to apologize later in life. He wasn't just ashamed of breaking her heart. He was ashamed of his own cowardice, of not fighting Giselle for her.
Wow. It just paints such a vivid picture of Giselle's character. She's the mayor's wife, putting the P in propriety, the B in boring, and the S in snob.
And, as the sources repeatedly call her, the B in bitch.
Especially when you contrast her with her vibrant older sister.
Her sister, Debbie Darliston, who is everything Giselle isn't. Warm, witty, vibrant, unique. She's Eden's true surrogate mother and moral compass.
And the sources suggest Giselle has this chronic, deep-seated jealousy of Debbie.
Which is why she delighted in pointing out Eden's flaws. It was all projection.
The cruelty is generational. Eden shares this painful anecdote about a simple wooden heart charm Bennett had carved for her when they were teenagers.
Giselle destroyed it.
Smashed it and told Eden, that's what he's going to do to your heart anyway.
She wasn't just controlling. She was actively trying to destroy joy and reinforce these negative beliefs about relationships.
And that need for control, it extended to Eden's major life milestones, like the Darliston family naming ceremony.
Right, this unique tradition where the women choose their own middle names at age 28.
And Giselle just publicly humiliated her by hijacking the whole process.
Booked the venue, selected the caterer, sent out these premature formal invitations, all without consulting Eden.
Trying to turn a meaningful personal ritual into a debutante ball.
To showcase Giselle's social standing, it's control through social warfare.
So this history of manipulation is what makes Bennett realize that Giselle might actually be Artemis 525.
Yeah, he even notes, with a chilling lack of sarcasm, that he doesn't think her elevator goes all the way to the top. She has the motive spite and the tactical cruelty.
And while all this psychological drama is unfolding, the physical threat, which started with mere chicken livers, escalates dramatically.
A stalker graduates to raw hamburger meat.
Of course.
Artemis 525 smears the raw meat all over Bennett's expensive BMW window and leaves a note.
Maybe I'll run your heart through a meat grinder after I'm finished with it. You're between the crosshairs now.
And again, the medium is important here. The stalker chooses raw meat again, this visceral biological threat. And the choice of the BMW window confirms they're local, they're close, and they are watching.
And Bennett just feels completely degraded by this.
He's not being physically harmed, but he's being psychologically tortured. The sources note he feels utterly toyed with, confirming he is damned helpless.
His attempt to have this quiet, respectable restart in hell is being publicly and disgustingly undermined.
And it's making him feel exactly like the unworthy, powerless boy Giselle had condemned a decade earlier.
Okay, before we go further, we need to take that promised detour into Eden's unique brand of small-town justice.
Oh yeah, this is critical for understanding our moral code.
And for understanding why Bennett is so terrified of what the ex-girlfriends club is planning.
This anecdote perfectly encapsulates her sense of leveling the playing field. It's an eye for an eye, but only if the eye for eye delivers a specific moral lesson, not permanent harm.
So we learn about this guy, Johnny Warren.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever Johnny was angry, he would routinely roll his wheelchair-bound wife, Martha,
Who rarely wore a bra, adding that classic small-town detail. Chuckles.
right,
He'd roll her out of the house and deliberately dump her into this massive pothole in their driveway.
It's emotional and physical abuse through calculated humiliation.
So, Eden's response,
Hmm.
it's legendary within the department.
She used her stun gun on Johnny, rolled him into the hole, and then sandbagged him in.
Told him he needed to change his perspective. And she left him there until he understood what it felt like to be completely helpless in that hole.
See, it wasn't punitive violence. It was corrective strategic shock treatment. Her colleagues refuse the call because she's the only one who can handle the situation with a straight face and deliver this specific type of karma.
And this fiercely protective, justice-oriented reputation is exactly why her friends are certain she is the perfect instrument for revenge. It defines the moral line she walks. Justice for Eden means correcting an imbalance and protecting the vulnerable. It does not mean spite.
And then enter the ex-girlfriends club,
Led by the perpetually bitter Kelly Briscoe.
who Bennett had only dated briefly and cruelly just to spite her sanctimonious father.
Right. They corner Eden, and they argue that since Bennett is back, the original dormant mission of the website has to be executed.
The psychology of proxy revenge. They can't hurt him themselves, but they know Eden still has the key to his heart.
And the mandate is chillingly clear and coercive. Eden must reel him back in, set the hook, and then break his heart, the same way he's always done to us.
Kelly even uses Eden's history against her. She says, "You are always his favorite. If anyone here could give Bennett a dose of his own medicine, then it's definitely you, Eden."
The pressure is just immense. They're telling her that if she doesn't do it, she's admitting she's weak, a coward, and still susceptible to his charm.
So Eden, desperate to avoid looking like the ultimate coward, she agrees to try.
But she internally vows to lie. Her self-preservation dictates she will protect her own heart even if she can't protect Bennett's.
So while the forces of bitterness and vengeance are plotting his downfall, the benevolent forces of hell are mobilizing to counteract them.
Yes, the dynamic duo of Devi and Grady.
Right.
Devi Darliston, known for her wildly diverse interests, tour guide, flight attendant, flying trapeze instructor, master gardener, she applies for Bennett's full-time housekeeper job.
He mentioned he was hiring to help care for Grady.
And she is instantly hired. Not because she's a professional housekeeper, but because Bennett tastes her legendary coveted fruit tea.
The recipe for which is her closely guarded secret.
It's a tiny detail, but it signals how deeply local culture and custom are intertwined with these high-stakes personal dramas.
We also get a much deeper look at the dynamic between Devi and Grady.
They exhibit this constant barbed bickering, like an old married couple, but it's combined with this undeniable underlying spark.
They are clearly in a secret, long-running relationship, and they are definitely scheming together.
Their relationship is the polar opposite of Giselle's cold control.
And this all culminates on May 25th.
The predicted strike date.
Instead of hiding out in fear, Bennett uses the urgency to force a confrontation, a romantic one with Eden.
They go to Fire Lake, their old teenage spot.
This is Bennett's ultimate moment of vulnerability and truth. He finally confesses the full, painful story of Giselle's manipulation.
And then, as a symbol of his commitment and his new, secure self, a self who is ready to defy the prophecy, he gives Eden a new wooden heart charm.
Identical to the one Giselle destroyed years ago.
This isn't just a romantic gesture, it's an act of profound courage. He is essentially giving her the tangible representation of his heart, acknowledging its vulnerability.
And his words are just heartbreakingly sincere. "It's my heart, don't break it."
And Eden, completely in love, sensing the genuine terrifying change in him, the shift from magician to man. She's just flooded with the feeling that their future is now secure.
He's been honest, he's been brave, he's committed. The drama, she believes, is finally over.
That feeling of future security lasts only until they get back to Icewater for a celebratory dinner.
That's when Kelly Briscoe and the Ex-Girlfriends Club spring their trap.
This is where the Revenge Club shows its true, spiteful colors. They are waiting, and Kelly forces this public confrontation.
Starting with the question designed to maximize his humiliation and their enjoyment.
Are you in love with her?
And Bennett, completely unsuspecting, deeply in love, convinced he's starting a new life, he replies simply, yes.
He even notes that this wasn't the romantic setting he'd planned, but he wouldn't deny it.
And Kelly, triumphant, delivers the devastating blow.
Good. Then we were right and our plan worked. Tell him how we nominated you to reel him back in, set the hook, and then break his heart.
Ugh. Bennett is just utterly destroyed.
The humiliation is total and immediate. All the small pieces, Eden's vague behavior, the club meeting at her house, Kelly's smug looks, it all clicks into place.
He feels like the ultimate fool.
He realizes in that instant that history has repeated itself. The judgment of hell, the expectation that he'd be played, that women would seek his downfall, it is manifested once more.
And he just forces a pained smile and walks away.
His conclusion is so grim and self-defeating. Hell never changes, and he is doomed to repeat the past of hurt and failure.
But Eden, full of fear and shame, immediately chases him down.
When she finally catches him under a streetlight, Bennett is raw. He admits he is terrified that history is repeating itself and that he's too cowardly for her.
And he notes that given her penchant for poetic justice, the sandbagging incident, the whole scheme seemed to have her signature leveling the playing field style all over it.
This is the moment where Eden has to define her moral code for herself and for him. She draws that clear line between justice and cruelty.
She reassures him. There is a difference between justice and purposely hurting someone for the sheer sport of it.
She states unequivocally that she never intended to break his heart. And if he still believes she did, she suggests maybe they weren't right for each other after all.
And Bennett's reaction is pure, necessary honesty.
He swears, kicks a rock, and blurts out the truth. I love you, damn it. It was a good idea. It's the best damned idea that's ever happened to me.
He confesses his deep, abiding terror, but reaffirms his love.
And with that raw vulnerability, they reconcile. The Revenge Club inadvertently forced the truth out of them.
But the narrative needs one final, absurd twist to bring the entire stalking drama into focus.
It happens at Eden's official, rescheduled naming ceremony, held casually at Icewater, far from Giselle's debutante ball aspirations.
Bennett is cornered by Grady and Debbie, who are still bickering about their effectiveness as stalkers.
And Bennett, annoyed, mentions how the raw hamburger threat scared him more than the chicken livers.
And that's when Grady, filled with pride, crows.
That one was my idea. I told you the boy didn't like raw hamburger meat.
And Debbie just drops the bomb. This is the moment that requires a deep dive into the ethics of geriatric criminal matchmaking.
Laughs. It really is. Debbie confirms. You never really had a stalker, dear. We just wanted to give you and Eden a little nudge.
Let's just unpack this. The elaborate high-stakes threat. The reason Eden risked her career, the reason Bennett was in constant terror, was entirely manufactured.
By a bickering grandfather and his eccentric girlfriend. They used fear, local gossip, and raw meat to force two emotionally stunted individuals to finally connect and confess their feelings.
What does this reveal about them?
They saw Bennett and Eden circling each other, too afraid of vulnerability and past wounds to commit. They understood that sometimes only a massive external threat, a literal life-or-death countdown, could break the deadlock of emotional armor.
It's a spectacular failure of lawful conduct, but a brilliant success in emotional strategy.
Totally. And Artemis 525, presumably the two of them operating the profile, posted a final message.
Saying they heard Bennett had learned his lesson and his imminent demise was no longer necessary.
The whole terrifying ordeal was just an astonishingly effective, albeit completely illegal, ruse driven by love.
This also contextualizes Grady's initial chaos at the retirement home.
Right. He isn't disruptive just to be mean. He possesses this relentless, chaotic energy that he channels toward what he deems necessary, whether that's fighting for a better menu or engineering a relationship.
So the fallout from this bizarre matchmaking scheme is universally positive for the protagonists.
Though we do have to pause and consider the local law enforcement's reputation, which now relies entirely on Eden's successful secrecy about this whole off-the-record investigation.
A minor detail, the ultimate result is happiness, doubled.
Both couples are engaged. Bennett and Eden are tying the knot, and so are Grady and Devi.
And the older couple, who clearly don't want to live alone, they offer Bennett and Eden the farm, the newly renovated house and barn.
So they can move into Eden's repurposed church home in town.
And this is the final act of healing for Bennett. He's humbled by the offer of the ancestral home. He realizes that Grady views him not as that Wilder boy,
but as a good man. And this external, sincere acceptance from the one person who mattered, Grady, that's the final piece of the puzzle that frees him from the poisonous narrative instilled by Giselle.
He is now worthy in his own eyes.
And the ultimate symbolic act of this personal growth happens during Eden's naming ceremony.
A Darliston tradition that celebrates self-discovery and maturity. She finally stands up to announce her chosen name, and it reflects her entire tumultuous journey.
After joking about the long deliberation, she announces her name, Athena.
And this is the analytical peak of the entire deep dive.
It really is.
The antagonistic, deceptive name used in the plot to manipulate them was Artemis, the goddess of the hunt. It represents raw, impulsive action and vengeance.
The path Kelly Briscoe wanted her to take.
And now Eden chooses Athena, the goddess of wisdom, strategy, justice, and skilled warfare.
This choice perfectly symbolizes Eden's growth. She moves beyond the rash, impulsive emotion of Artemis energy and embraces thoughtful, considered strategy. Her justice isn't about sandbagging people for pure satisfaction anymore.
It's calculated to achieve a greater good in this case, securing her own future.
It's a profound realization. She could have chosen a name representing revenge or fire, but she chose wisdom. She learned that a secure future is built on strategy, clarity, and truth, not on perpetual anger or spite.
And her closing statement confirms this. She says, "If the old adage that with age comes wisdom holds true, then I've certainly wised up lately."
She wised up about Bennett, about her mother, and about her own capacity for love.
And at the same time, Bennett reaches his own final realization. He finally internalizes that he is not like his parents.
He's his own man, a respected artisan, and crucially, Eden's opinion, her acceptance of him as a good man, is the only one that truly matters.
He's no longer the coward Giselle created. He is ready to face their life together, secure in his own identity.
And the sources indicate that the town quickly came around.
The ex-girlfriends club members, shamed by Kelly's cruel public revelation, they actually apologized to Bennett.
His bastard mugshot was removed from the BennettWilderSucks.com site, which was soon renamed bitchingfromhell.com.
A much better name, reflecting the transition to mutual aid.
Even Eden's father, the mayor, sincerely congratulated him.
And the only person still holding on to the old narrative?
Giselle, who offered a tight-lipped congratulation, still certain history would repeat itself.
But thanks to the absurd machinations of the chicken liver stalkers, history won't repeat itself this time, because Bennett finally accepted his own fundamental worth.
What a story.
That was an incredible, emotional, and deeply bizarre ride into hell, Georgia. Let's summarize the key insights we gathered from this story about love, reputation, and raw meat.
Right. First, we learned about the profound psychological cost of reputation and self-fulfilling prophecy.
Bennett spent a decade performing the identity thrust upon him by his mother-in-law-to-be, terrified that if he stopped being the bad boy, Giselle would hurt Eden.
And his ultimate freedom came only when he rejected that external validation and accepted his internal worth.
Second, we analyzed that critical difference between justice and revenge.
Eden's sandbagging justice was corrective and protective. The ex-girlfriend's revenge was pure spite. By choosing to protect Bennett and then choosing the name Athena, she solidified her commitment to wisdom over raw malice.
And finally, the most astonishing nugget of knowledge from this whole thing. Sometimes only a truly massive, external, manufactured threat can force us to drop our emotional armor and commit to what we genuinely desire.
The stalker plot. Crazy, illegal, and ethically questionable, it was a success because it pushed Bennett and Eden past their fear of vulnerability.
So the lesson here is centered entirely on that emotional armor. Eden only gained the secure future she always wanted when she stopped trying to hold a proper grudge.
Against Bennett, against the town's expectations.
She chose vulnerability and forgiveness over self-preservation through anger.
So we leave you with this provocative thought for your own life. Think about the cost of that emotional armor you might be carrying.
Are there any old wounds, family narratives, or long-standing grudges you're still using to protect yourself?
What happiness, what opportunity, or what knowledge are you blocking? And what might you find if you embraced vulnerability, just like Bennett and Eden did when they faced the fear of the lawnmower?
If the armor is blocking the very things you desire, it might be time to choose Athena.
We hope you enjoyed this deep dive. We'll see you next time.